The night shift had become a second home to Daniel. By day, he was dad, packing lunches, braiding his 8-year-old daughter Emma's hair the way she liked, walking her to school, and making sure she never felt the gap left by her mother who had passed away 3 years earlier. By night, he was the janitor at Harrow & Company, one of the city's biggest corporate towers. Daniel didn't complain. Work was work, and every extra hour meant a little more security for Emma. He knew his role was invisible to most. Men in crisp suits passed him by without a glance. Executives discussing numbers never paused their stride when he bent down to mop the floor. But Daniel noticed everything. It was a skill born of survival, the quiet ability to read faces, sense moods, and catch what others ignored. It was on one of those late evenings, around midnight, when he first noticed her. Elaine Harper, CEO of Harrow & Company. A woman who seemed carved from steel and glass, always in heels that echoed down the marble lobby. Everyone in the company spoke her name with a mix of fear and admiration. She wasn't supposed to be there that late, yet Daniel found her in the conference room, standing too still, one hand gripping the edge of the table. At first, he kept his distance, but something about the way her lips were pale, the way her free hand trembled almost imperceptibly, made him pause. "You okay, ma'am?" Daniel asked softly, leaning on his mop. Elaine glanced up, startled, and straightened her posture like armor. "I'm fine," she said curtly. "Just tired." Most would have taken that answer and walked away. Daniel didn't. He'd spent years watching Emma try to pretend she wasn't sad about her mom, saying she was fine when her eyes said otherwise. He recognized the same stubborn mask in Elaine's face. "Maybe so," he replied carefully, "but tired doesn't usually make your hand shake like that." Her eyes narrowed, not in anger, but in surprise. Few people dared to notice details about her, let alone point them out. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. "It's nothing," she muttered finally, gathering her papers. Daniel let it go. But over the next few weeks, he noticed more. The CEO's footsteps sometimes faltered, a wince when she reached for her bag. Once, in the elevator, she pressed her hand against her chest for just a second before anyone could see. Anyone except him. It weighed on him. He wasn't a doctor, but he had learned to trust instincts sharpened by fatherhood and hardship. And something about Elaine's condition didn't feel right. One rainy Thursday, it happened. Daniel was polishing the lobby floors when the elevator doors slid open and Elaine staggered out. She clutched her chest, her face ashen, sweat beading along her hairline. Executives walked by, murmuring about quarterly reports, too consumed by their worlds to notice. But Daniel noticed. He dropped the mop instantly and rushed forward. "Ma'am." Her knees buckled. Daniel caught her before she hit the marble, lowering her gently to the floor. "Stay with me," he urged, raising his voice to the lobby security. "Call 911. Now." Elaine's lips moved faintly. "I'm fine," she whispered, still fighting the truth. "No, you're not," Daniel said firmly. "And you don't have to be." Paramedics arrived within minutes, but to Daniel it felt like hours. He held her hand, grounding her, until they carried her onto the stretcher. She was barely conscious, but she squeezed his hand before they wheeled her away. Later, the doctors confirmed what he suspected. She had been ignoring the warning signs of a heart condition. A few more days, maybe even hours without intervention, and the outcome could have been fatal. The following week, the company buzzed with the news. Employees whispered in elevators, shocked that their untouchable CEO had collapsed, even more shocked to learn that the janitor, quiet, invisible Daniel, had been the one to save her life. Daniel didn't want the attention. He just wanted to keep his job, pay the bills, and pick up Emma from school. But when Elaine returned, weaker but alive, she asked to see him. He walked into her office nervously, hands rough from years of labor twisting together. It was the first time he had stood before her without a mop or a broom. Elaine looked different, still sharp, but softer somehow. Her desk was clear of the endless stacks of papers, and a small vase of wildflowers sat near her laptop. She gestured for him to sit, something no one could imagine Elaine Harper doing. "You saved my life," she said simply. "The doctors told me I'd been ignoring the symptoms. Everyone else ignored them too. Everyone except you." Daniel shifted uncomfortably. Anyone would have done the same. "No," Elaine countered. "Anyone else would have believed me when I said I was fine. You didn't." For a long moment, the only sound was the hum of the city outside her window. Then she smiled, an expression that seemed rare on her face. "Tell me about yourself, Daniel." He hesitated, then spoke. About Emma, about the night shifts, about the promise he made to his late wife that their daughter would never go without love or stability. Elaine listened quietly, not the CEO now, but a woman who owed her life to the janitor before her. When he finished, she leaned back. "You know," she said thoughtfully, "the board has been telling me I need to connect more with the people who keep this company alive. Maybe it's time I start listening." From that day forward, things shifted. Elaine didn't transform overnight into a completely different person. She was still fierce, still commanding, but she carried with her the memory of being seen when it mattered most. And Daniel? He returned to his mop and bucket, but something had changed for him too. He wasn't just invisible anymore. One evening, as he picked up Emma from school, she asked, "Daddy, is it true you saved someone's life?" Daniel smiled and squeezed her small hand. "I just noticed when they needed help," he said softly. Emma grinned proudly. "That's what you always do."